Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the City of Gulf Shores Council Work Session, February the 3rd. Appreciate you being here, and we're hopeful you will engage with us and give us your thoughts and opinions on anything that you want to discuss. And this is the meeting where we go over this to get your input. We'll be voting next Monday, and I see familiar faces. I think most of you knew that, but I feel we're required to say that every time because we do want to hear from you. Hopefully, you'll give us your thoughts. And with that, I'll call the meeting to order, and Councilman Harris, it's your work session, or your opportunity to discuss.
Yeah, Mayor, we've got a healthy agenda, and I don't really have anything to add to that, so thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, sir. John, Code of Ordinance, Chapter 14.
Thank you, Mayor. This amendment to the ordinance that you have before you, as well as a amendment to the contract or the franchise agreement with the Republic Services, is related to the placement of trash receptacles on West Beach Boulevard. So last year, we had several people come to council, or both here in this room and privately, about issues with the trash bins being placed in the bike lane and on West Beach Boulevard, on both sides of West Beach Boulevard. And essentially from 59 to the 2000 block of West Beach Boulevard, we have a concern with both, a visual aesthetic as well as the safety of people using the bike lane, both pedestrians and cyclists. This area has 3 days of trash pickup per week in the spring and summer, so there are several bins out there every day. They are obstacles for pedestrians and cyclists, and they do require people in automobiles to pay close attention as individuals go around those. So city staff looked into this matter, and we are proposing an ordinance that would eliminate curbside service in this area and require full service. Full service can also be referred to as walk-up service. This change would affect those property owners currently enrolled in curbside trash pickup collection from 100 to 2005 West Beach Boulevard. If a dumpster is used or if collection is not directly on West Beach Boulevard, these changes would not affect you. So this ordinance before you has really three parts. The first part is changing the hours that containers can be placed out at the road. The first being we're changing it to 7 p.m. the night before, the evening preceding collection, to 7 p.m. the day of collection. The second item is that all containers stored on the exterior of the premises shall be kept behind the building front line, or at the building, not at the road or between the road and the building, except where the lot is larger than 1 acre, in which case those should be stored 100 feet from the public right-of-way. And then the third being that this area in red would move to a full-service trash collection district, requiring that all properties in this district with rollout garbage service would be changed to full-service trash collection, with individuals from our franchisee actually coming up to the building, getting the trash carts and bringing them to the street, and then bringing them back to the building once collection has been done. With that, we have in here also a change to the contract with our with Republic Services, who provides this for the city. There was a typo in there. We do anticipate that this will start on April 1st, not March 1st. And customers in the full service district would be required to pay an additional $25 per month per residence, which this would be part of their bill with Republic Services. So if you have any questions, happy to answer those.
Well, I know the complaints that I've had primarily from walkers or cyclists that they're almost been run over because with all the trash cans, it's hard to see the individuals. It's hard, and the cyclists will have to go around it one way or the other. And if they're set closer to the sand or in the middle, sometimes they have to choose to get in the road or get in the sand in the bike. And you get in the sand in the bike, there's a good chance you're going down. It creates a very dangerous obstacle for pedestrians and bicycles. And this is something I think that is really mandatory for the safety of our residents that use those walkways and our visitors. It's really important. That's just my thoughts on it. I think it's a great plan. Council, anybody else? Anybody in the audience with any comments? If you do, step to the microphone, introduce yourself, tell us where you live, and let us hear from you.
How we doing, gentlemen, ladies? My name's John Midkiff, JP Midkiff. I live not on 15 or on West Beach. However, I work down there frequently. I work with property management companies, so we're constantly moving in and out. Especially on check-in, check-out days that are flowing quickly. A couple concerns I have regarding this, and you may already have the answers. The first is the current ordinance states that the cans are to be 10 feet back from the bike path already. And I know that that's not happening, obviously. So why are we putting a new ordinance rather than enforcing the current ordinance is my first question. My second question is a traffic concern. Anybody that's been on West Beach on a Saturday or Friday that's a check-in day knows that that traffic gets backed up, especially on days where there's a trash pickup. There'll be a line all the way back to 59 behind the trash truck of guests trying to get in or out of town. And you're looking 3 minutes per property that trash truck stops to pick up the can and just dump it. Now we're talking an additional time of them having to go to the property, bring the trash to it, and bring the trash back. I'm concerned of what the traffic implications look like and if there's been a study or anything regarding the traffic implications of the new ordinance as opposed to the old ordinance. Those are my concerns.
I personally am not aware of any studies that we've done other than the obvious paying attention. And in reality, the safety of the pedestrians and the cyclists takes precedent over slow traffic in my mind. I know it's inconvenience, but that's just an inconvenience. The other's dangerous. And we just didn't feel like that there was an option that we felt like could protect those folks if we left those trash cans out there. And that's just my personal opinion. I don't know, anybody else has anything? they'd
What
like
day
to
is
say?
trash pickup? 3 days a week.
We have,
Thursday and Saturday.
we have three days, and we have 3 days of trash pickup in that district during
Pick
the
up 3
spring and
times a
summer.
week?
Yeah,
It's a lot.
for the spring and summer, yes.
And there's already an ordinance in place to cover this.
Excuse me, ma'am, will you wait till you introduce yourself, please? I want to hear from you. I didn't mean to shut you off. Don't want to be rude, but the folks listening at home, we'll know who you are, so thank you.
Well, the trash truck can't reach the cart 10 foot back. So they're gonna have to stop and get out and get the cart anyway, because that arm won't go out that far, I don't believe.
Well, and I can speak to that, actually. I believe that the ordinance actually reads that on trash day, your cart has to be no more than 10 feet from the right of way. So that's saying that on trash day, you were to bring your cart to the right of way no more than 10 feet from the right of way. So it does not say that it is placed 10 feet back. It says it has to be within 10 feet.
That's true. I misread. My apologies. That's all I have.
And there's 2 parts to the advantages here. One was the safety of the bike lanes and that type, and the other was the improving the aesthetics. And the way the ordinance reads now, you can put your trash out the night before and pick it up the day after. So if you're doing that at intervals and you're picking up 3 times a week, trash cans can pretty much stay out there all week. And so this gets them out of sight, pulled back. They're out long enough to dump them and they go back. I think it does a tremendous amount for improving the aesthetics of our main boulevard, as well as the safety improvements there.
Fair enough.
Appreciate your comments, though.
Yep.
Ma'am, please.
I'm Marlene Patterson. And what I'm wondering about is if the ordinance that we currently have is in place, I mean, is enforced, then there wouldn't be, I mean, it's basically the same thing except for Republic's doing it instead of the owners doing it. And honestly, there's probably 20 to 30 owners that are not pulling their cans back. All the rest are getting their cans back. And it's, so, I mean, and I've called over the years because I've been on West Beach 15 years now. And I've called code enforcement to try and get them, because there's a fine. And if they impose that fine, then I don't think owners would do it. And I don't think owners would do it if they lived here and they saw it all the time anyway. So what I'm wondering is, why isn't the current ordinance enforced?
Well, the current ordinance actually allows for them to be out there the day before pickup,
24 hours.
24 hours before pickup. So if you consider that plus the day of pickup and 3 days of trash service, you actually have 6 days that they're allowed on the road.
And the vast majority of the people there are visitors. They're not residents. The vast majority of those homes out there.
Right.
And so the issue is not enforcing the code is defective. And it allows, because of 3 days a week pickup, it allows 24 hours before and 24 hours after. That takes up the whole week. And the issue down there, because I live in West Beach as well, the issue down there is that there's been a proliferation of larger homes, really many hotels down there, particularly. And with that intense use and that density, there's trash cans out there all the time. And a lot of it's from owners who own the properties but don't live there and rent them out as vacation rentals, which is fine and appropriate and their right to do so, but they're not actively engaged in taking the trash cans back on a regular basis and doing it, conscientiously and creating an environment that is quite dangerous down there. If you spend any time down West Beach, you can see people walking. If there's a walker and a biker coming at each other and a trash can there, something's got to give, and usually it gives toward the road where cars are. And I've seen a multitude of opportunities for people to get really seriously injured down there. And plus, I think the aesthetics of it is an important consideration, as well as we're a vacation community.
So if the can was not if it was off the road and not in the bike path, it would be a non-issue, because I thought the 24 hours was you can bring it out that evening, and then the big truck picks it up the next morning, and then you pull it back after that by whenever you took it out. Let's say you took it out at 7 p.m., so you'd have to 7 p.m. to get it back. And if you kept it off the road, which I know a lot of the rental properties down there use companies that pull those cans back and forth for them. So it's maybe, people who live there all the time that aren't getting them back in some cases, I guess, not in all cases. I mean, of course, it's not 100% either way of anything. But I'm just, and then there would be, if this one's enforced, there's no cost to the owners. It's not an additional, whatever it is, going to be $25 a month, I guess. If all we have to do is get the people who aren't doing it, which is probably 20 properties or something like that, and maybe in season a little bit more,
There's a lot more
but just
than that.
to get them to do what they're supposed to do. And how you do that, I think, is if you start putting stickers on my cans that say $25, you can bet I'm going to get that can back, because I'm not going to want to pay that. So that's just all I had.
Yeah, I think those are good comments. I think part of the issue is these are owners that don't live there and that they have management companies, and there are some people out there that work and bring the cans in for some of those management companies and some of those properties. The issue is it's voluntary, so every owner is not hiring that company to do that, so it's hit and miss, and therefore the problem's not getting solved by what we have in place now, unfortunately.
Well, I meant possibly we could have something that required rental properties like we do in some other instances, not trash related, whatever, where if you rent your property, you have to do X, Y, Z. You know, there's a lot of things like that. That might be an option. Then it's not going to cost all the owners that aren't not abiding by these ordinances to pay. Why should, 1,000 people pay because 20 people aren't doing something? That's just all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, ma'am. Yes, sir. Yeah, I need you to come to the microphone.
All the way around.
There's 20 owners and 1,000 rentals.
Yes, sir.
My name's Jerry Elkins. I live at 2235 West Beach Boulevard. Have been down there for 25 years. But I also own a number of properties that's in this zone that you're planning on doing a taking, is what I would call it. Taking of my money to solve a problem, like this young lady said, for 10 or 15 or 20 houses. You're gonna sting everybody on both sides of West Beach Boulevard for a couple miles. So the way it works is on Sunday night or first thing Monday morning, my trash cans go out, 24 of them. Okay, they go out to the street, and that's if there's one couple staying in the house. Okay, if there's more than one couple staying in the house, could be 44 or 64 or whatever. But the way we do it is we put them right in the edge of the driveway, nosed up to the bicycle lane. Now, the bicycle lane is only 36 inches wide. Then there's another 24 inches with a rumble strip next to the highway, so that somebody dozes or whatever, sort of wakes them up. In the length that I've been doing this thing, 20-some years, we have been fined by the city for not pulling them back. You know, we've had places where it didn't get back and it didn't get hauled in and so on and so forth, and we were given a citation. And they can find you here in City Hall if they're going to give you a citation at your address, because you got to be registered, with the city, so they can find you. Just like, I have to do an 18% payment to the city of Gulf Shores every month for my revenue, my rental revenue, 18% lodging tax. Now you want to do $25. Is that per can? Is that per building? Is that per unit? What is it?
Did we speak today on the phone?
Yes, sir, we did.
Yeah, I thought we did. Yes, sir. I believe we talked about it. It is $25 per residence. So per
Unit.
unit,
Resident.
Okay.
not per can. Yeah.
All right, so, I have in this same area, I have 13 buildings, okay, but I have 23 units, okay? So 23 times 25 is $575 per week. Or per month.
Per month.
I'm asking the
Month.
question. The $25 is per month?
So, yes, sir. The way the contract reads is that Republic would add $25 per month per residence. So if you have 24 units that you
Yep.
currently receive bills, if you currently receive 24 bills, you would receive a $25 increase per month per bill.
That's still $575.
It works out to be $300 a year per residence for public services, to provide someone to come to your house, get, whether it's 1 can or 5 cans, bring those to the street, take that trash, and then take them back to your house. Yes.
Oh, Are your units condos or are they individual houses?
I'm sorry?
Are your units in a condo project or are they individual houses?
They're duplexes and then single-family houses.
I have 13 units,
Okay.
13 buildings, if you will. And in that 13 buildings, we have 23 units. So the majority of them are duplexes. But I talked to Kevin at the refuse company today, and we talked about this, and, and I said, is there any way that, I can pay for 13 buildings? It's one stop, and so on and so forth. You can't do that because City Hall won't let us do it. Well, okay, but it's one stop. But would cut the toll in two, if you understand what I'm saying, to go from, 23 units to 13 units at $25 a piece. But my biggest problem is it's really not gonna work. And let me tell you why. They come out there, and I asked Kevin this, he may be here. He can either slap me down or back me up if he wants to, but anyway, you go down West Beach Boulevard and you roll those cans out, and then their truck comes along with an arm, sticks way out here, picks it up and dumps it and shakes it, okay? Most of it goes in the can, in the truck. But then whatever they do with it, they almost 90% of them slam it down, and then the can rolls willy-nilly, and then he pulls away from it. The problem with it is there's always junk. If they're picking up 2 or 3 cans or half a dozen cans or whatever, there'll be junk, trash falling out of the cans as they're rolling them up and putting them into the trash can, okay? Who picks that up? Well, he didn't know that. And I said, okay, well, when your guys go back there to roll out the cans from the house, had renters in this property, they throw beer bottles and beer cans and da-da-da-da-da. Who picks it up and puts it in the trash can to begin with? We don't do that. We don't do that. If it's not in the trash can, we don't roll it out. So we're not gonna get all of it. And the guys that we have doing it, I have guys doing mine. Every week, every unit, they go there, they pick up the trash around the buildings and the trash around the garbage cans, and they roll it out to the street with the nose of it at the line, okay, on every one of them, okay? And then when they come by and dump them, that same day, without fail, they come pick up the trash around them, throw them in that trash can, roll them back, and get ready for the next time. Without fail. So you can't do it better than we're doing it. But you want to charge me an extra $500, $575, to do it. And I just don't think it's fair, because you have the mechanism. You're set up to do fines, okay? Put out some $25, $50, $100 fines. Go to $100. I mean, you could fine me 5 times what my monthly fee would be. But I mean, she's right. It's just not right to ding everybody for 2 or 3. I drove down West Beach this afternoon. They'd already gone. Half the cans that had been dumped were laying down. 1 or 2 were standing up, but they all were in the bike lane. Every single one of them were in the bike lane, or in the side lane next to the, next to this highway. You're not gonna, you want to keep it clean, you want to make it look better, and so on. Me too. And we give it our best shot. So I asked John, how about letting me off the hook? And I'll keep mine clean. I keep mine clean. We can get in my car and I'll run you down there and we'll look right now. They were there at 2 o'clock. The cans were laying there at 2 o'clock when I came down through there. I have not been back down there. I never said a word to anybody, but we'll ride down there and there won't be one single can still standing there in front of my places, because I pay them to keep it that way. But they can reach out to the owners that don't live here, and if they're rental owners, that, they'll get the message when you find them. If they live there, they'll get the message when you mail it to them. I'm all for what you're trying to do. You got to do the complete job. And Kevin couldn't answer the questions. Who's going to pay for it? Well, it's going to be me. It's going to be me putting it into trash cans for somebody else to haul out. It's also going to be me to pick up around the trash cans that overspill onto the right of way. Because it's not going to be them, not going to be you. So, we're going off half-cocked is what I'm saying. So I'd think about it a little more than just giving us 3 days in the mail, and we're going to vote on this next Monday. Hell or high water, we're going to vote on it. Because we want to keep the looking good down on West Beach. Me too. Any questions?
Thank you, sir. Any questions, anybody? Thank you, sir.
I was afraid of that.
Anybody else?
Hey, Scott Thompson, and I own one of the rollout services down there. And I would just like to, say with a lot of this, there's already an ordinance in place and it's never been enforced that I know of. I've been up and down that road at least once a day, 6 days a week, and I've never seen a citation or a violation on a can. And like you say, they'll lay out there for 2 weeks. Why was that never enforced through code enforcement or anything like that? I mean, this is 10, 15 years I've been going down through there, and I've never seen a citation. Have y'all? Anybody? For your cans being out? It's in the ordinance.
I'm sure there has been. I don't
Well, I'm
know.
just saying, you see what I'm saying? I don't think that was really implemented and enforced. And so again, we've got a policy that may or may not work, but you got to put all parts in place.
Thank you,
That's
sir.
all I got to say.
Appreciate your comment.
Yes, sir.
Anybody? We will be revisiting this next Monday, and we will allow another opportunity for discussion. So we will, if you've got additional comments, we'll see you next Monday. Next item on the agenda, Clint, you've got a couple of things for us.
Yes, sir. The first one I've got is an ALDOT cooperative maintenance agreement for all sidewalks along Highway 182. And so over the years, when any sidewalks were proposed in that 182 right-of-way, ALDOT would require execution of a maintenance agreement before the permit could be approved. And so this agreement would be basically a blanket maintenance agreement for all the sidewalks in the entirety of Highway 182 right-of-way within the city limits. And so if executed, we wouldn't have to go back to ALDOT every time in the future when we have a new sidewalk going in, so it would speed up the permitting process. And you may remember we did this for Highway 59 a few months back, so doing a separate one for the different state roads. So I'd be glad to answer any questions if you guys have any.
Thank you, Clint. Council, any questions? Audience, anybody? Clint, you got one more?
Yes, the next one I've got is to approve a professional services contract for Volkert Inc. to provide biannual ALDOT bridge inspection services as required by ALDOT in an amount not to exceed $18,382. And so the city is required by ALDOT to perform certified inspections every 2 years on all bridge and large culvert structures. And so Volkert is pre-qualified through ALDOT to do this and is previously done inspections for the city. So the city contracts these every 2 years, and the funding comes out of the streets and sidewalks maintenance. So I'll be glad to answer any questions if you guys have any.
Council, any questions, comments? Anybody? Thank you, Clint. Before we go to the next one, I want to assure you of one thing. We do this for a reason. I will tell you, we haven't made up our mind on anything when we walk in here. We do this for a reason, so we can hear from the 3 or 4 of you like we did. And that allows us to think about that from your perspective, not just from ours. And so don't think we're not paying attention. Don't think you're here for no reason. You're here to tell us something we need to know. And it does make a difference, and we will be thinking about it. I just want to, that was just too perfect an opportunity to make sure you understand why we separated. Most places and what we've done in previous years, we do this and then we go directly to vote. We don't do that because we want a week to think about what you want us to think about. So I want to appreciate you for being here, and I want to thank you and encourage you to come back. And anytime you've got anything, anybody, come tell us, come talk to us. We can't lead your city without your input like you want us to, and we listen. So thank you for being here. I'll move on with the agenda now. Joe Ethan?
Yes, sir. What we have today is the approval for an MOU with Valor Hospitalities for lifeguard services at the Gulf State Park Lodge. We've been doing this since 2018, and this is just a continuing of that, and not $20,000 in reimbursement.
Thank you, Joe. Any questions, council? Comments, anybody? Well, I heard somebody, but I guess I did. You got one more, Joey?
Yes, sir. The next one is the MOU for the lifeguard services at the Gulf State Park Pavilion. We've been doing this since 2018 as well, and it's amount $36,000 they'll reimburse us. The only change in this one is they're providing us with a storage unit for lifeguard safety, and that hasn't been there in the years prior.
Any questions from anybody? Thank you, sir. Andy?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council, Madam City Clerk. Let's see here. First item I have is a conditional use permit application for from Mr. Edward Email. He would like to build a pier and boat dock on a vacant piece of property located at 1276 West Lagoon Avenue. Article 6-6, time of construction of the zoning ordinance only allows piers to be constructed on a vacant lot if approved via the conditional use permit process. As you know, a conditional use permit is first presented to the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission makes a recommendation to the City Council. City Council has a final vote and approval or denial authority on a conditional use permit. This application will have to be advertised, so it will not appear on next week's agenda, probably about a month from now. So again, here's the location maps. The left-hand side diagram shows the general location. It's in the southwestern quadrant of the city. The specific location is 1276 West Lagoon Avenue. As you can see, it's primarily surrounded by single-family houses and duplexes. Just a kind of a side note, the applicant does own the vacant property directly east of this property, of the subject property. Here's the photograph of the property. As you can see, it's basically a vacant property with some pine trees along the water. It looks like it's being well kept up. It does look like there's a remnant of old driveway on the property. A little background, we advertised this application prior to the Planning Commission meeting. We did receive 9 letters from the surrounding property owners in favor of the application. So on the diagram on the right-hand side, the circled addresses are the surrounding property owners who did submit letters in favor of the application. At the December Planning Commission meeting, the Planning Commission voted 7-0 to recommend approval of this application. So the applicant's request, first the diagram on the right-hand side shows the proposed pier and boat dock. They seek to construct a 150-foot pier with 2 boat docks for the use of 1 unit of a duplex dwelling that is owned by Mr. Email and located at 1277 West Beach Boulevard. 1277 West Beach Boulevard is less than 500 feet from 1276 West Lagoon Avenue. The pier and boat dock will only be utilized by the Email family. They do own other properties, rental properties in the city, but they've submitted an affidavit stating that they will only them and their family can use, or immediate family can use this pier and boat dock. They have obtained approval from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers for the pier and boat dock. So the specific article that regulates this conditional use permit, or which requires a conditional use permit, is Article 6-6E, time of construction of the zoning ordinance. That section reads, no accessory building or dwelling shall be constructed upon a lot until the construction of the principal building has commenced, and no accessory building or dwelling shall be used unless the principal building is also being used, with the exception of piers, wharves, pier structures, which may be allowed by a conditional use permit. We reviewed this application versus the Article 3-4 standards of approval for a conditional use permit. There are typically 14 factors which it's reviewed against. I've summarized the provided a synopsis of our analysis. Number one, the applicant has received all state and federal permits. Number two, the pier will not burden the infrastructure and street system of the city. 3, the pier will not diminish the environmental quality of natural resources. 4, we do not believe the pier will cause any injury or value to the adjacent properties. And then 5, the pier use and plan is designed in accordance with the applicable requirements of the zoning ordinance. The fire marshal and engineering department have also reviewed and approved the proposed application. So with that, staff and the planning commission recommend approval of the email pier conditional use permit application. We did have a question at our staff meeting this morning about parking. There is no designated parking on their site plan. I guess it would just propose to park in the grass at this point, but if the city council deems it necessary, we can add a condition that they provide a parking plan prior to the issuance of a building permit on this application.
Any shoreline restoration required around there? Is any marsh grasses or anything of the protected species type opportunities there?
Not that I know of. I'd have to look closer at the core permit application to tell you 100%.
The Corps has approved it.
Yes, sir.
That probably answers that question. Anybody else on the council, any questions? Audience, anybody? Thank you, Andy. That's one. Got another one?
Yes, sir. The next one is a annexation request. We received an application from Mr. Anthony Garcia, who owns the property at 4704 Gino Road. They seek to annex this property into the city limits of Gulf Shores. The property is currently zoned by Baldwin County RSF1, which is a single-family zoning district, and it's developed with a single-family house. Our zoning ordinance indicates that lands that were previously zoned by Baldwin County are, upon annexation, to be zoned to the most or a similar city zoning classification. So in this instance, the property would be automatically zoned R14 residential medium density single family district if annexed. And the reason for the applicant's request is so their children can continue to attend City of Gulf Shores schools. Be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Andy. Questions, anybody? One more?
Yes, sir. The next item is a master signage plan request from Legendary Marine. So Ms. Cheryl Jones of Vintage Sign and Light requests approval of a master signage plan for Legendary Marine. The zoning ordinance requires the city council to approve master signage plans. I think all of you know where Legendary Marine is, on Waterway West Boulevard. Specifically, it's in the 300 block. The diagram on the right shows pretty much all the construction that has taken place. They've built a parking lot as well as 2 of the 4 boat barns that that they're proposing to be constructed in the future. And the marina obviously has been in place, but they're working on completing that after years of just kind of sitting there unused. So Article 18-3 contains the master signage plan regulations. It allows developments greater than 10 acres, which are zone BG, BA, industrial, ICW, or PUD, the ability to pursue approval of a master signage plan. The intent of a master signage plan is to develop a creative approach to satisfying reasonable signage needs for large developments. The underlying zoning serves as the kind of the guideline for what is or what is not allowed in a master signage plan, that the city council can grant deviations to the underlying zoning with the approval of a master signage plan. Master signage plan basically is a document that coordinates all signage on a property. It's used to improve the streetscape and create a master record for signs for large developments. Here is their proposed master signage plan. So they seek to have 11 signs across the north facade of the building. Totals about just under 600 square feet and equals 5% of the facade of the building. The sign regulations allow 20% of a facade of a building to be covered in signage. So on that north side, it would be signs A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K. They want 4 signs mounted to the west facade of the building, totaling just over 500 square feet. That equals 2.5% of the facade. Again, the regulations allow 20% of the facade to be to have signage. And the signs on the west side of the building are L, M, R, and S signs as denoted on the right-hand side of the screen. They would like to have one 15-foot tall, 85 square feet detached sign with a 32 square foot digital reader display at the entrance to the site on Waterway West Boulevard. That is denoted by the letter N in the diagram. They also would like one 61 square foot sign placed on the bridge between the boat barn and the marina. I believe that would be denoted as letter Q. They would like to place one 12 square feet gas pricing sign along the Intracoastal Waterway at the entrance for the marina. That's denoted as letter P. They want 4 10-foot tall, 30 square feet directional signs placed within the development. Those are denoted as letter O's on the master sign plan. And they are finally, they're requesting one 95 square foot temporary sign within the State Highway 59 right-of-way at the intersection of West First Avenue, directing customers to Legendary Marine from State Highway 59. Here's a few examples of the signs that they are proposing. Along the north side of the building, you can see they're proposing several different signs kind of over the along that north facade. Some of them just advertising accessories and kind of what the the services that Legendary Marine provides. They also have some signage that advertises the different brands that they carry, as well as a couple signs just with Legendary Marine designated on the signage. West facade, these are huge boat barn buildings. They would like to have 2 Legendary Marina signs on the west facade, and then they've got a couple signs at their ship store. One stating a showroom area and another one Legendary Ship Store. Here's a rendering of the proposed detached sign. It's 15 square feet tall and I think 85 square feet. Again, this will be placed at the entrance to the development along Waterway West Boulevard. The internal directional signs, a few examples of those signage, maximum 10 feet tall, and I think it's 30 square feet, with different blade signs directing potential customers to different parts of the marina. And then the proposed temporary sign, 95 square feet, and it would be designated by the letter T, which is located within the State Highway 59 right-of-way at the intersection of West First Street. In there, Legendary Marine did submit a narrative, kind of providing some backup information why they're proposing all this signage. So basically, their building is a large, very large building, and it's located approximately 330 feet from Waterway West Boulevard. It's also in a, they're proposing to sell a lot of different types of brands of products there. So that's the reason that they request a number of signs along the north and west facades, is because they're selling a lot of different, or carrying a lot of different brands. Their building's located, a significant distance off of Waterway West Boulevard. So they believe that because of those couple reasons, they need the proposed signage that they're requesting. In terms of the detached sign, again, it's 15 feet tall, 85 square feet. It's kind of in an area of Waterway West Boulevard that's not really developed. So they don't want people to drive by their development with, and not see a fairly, make sure they can see their development and know where to turn in to get to the development. And then finally, the temporary sign and the internal directional signs. They believe that a sign is needed at the intersection of Highway 59 and West First Street to direct customers to Waterway West Boulevard and to the site. And then the directional signs within the development will help the customers navigate kind of their overall development and know where to go within the property. Analysis portion of the presentation. So Legendary Marine complies with the minimum standards to have the city council consider a master signage plan. The development's appropriately zoned. It's greater than 10 acres and it has more than 200 feet of lot frontage on Waterway West Boulevard. It's worth noting that all of the signs requested by Legendary Marine comply with the sign regulations of the ICW North zoning district, except for 2 signs: the proposed detached sign at the entrance of the development and the directional signage within the development. So again, the detached sign is 15 feet tall and 85 square feet with a 32 square foot reader board. The ICW North regulations restrict signage to 32 square feet and 8 feet tall. Then they are requesting the 4 10-foot tall, 30 square feet directional signs that are placed internal to the development. Directional signs in the ICD, or just directional signs in general, are limited to 2 square feet and 3 feet tall by the zoning ordinance. The zoning ordinance really does not, in the zoning ordinance, a directional sign is like an entrance and exit signage that you see at a Burger King or a bank. It really does not contemplate this type of directional signage that they are proposing. So, that's why the regulations are so small for directional signs. Is because it's just entrance and exit signs and things of that nature. So again, the detached sign exceeds the size limitations of the ICW North zoning district, but it is smaller than the detached signage that is typically allowed in other commercial zoning districts. Other commercial zoning districts typically allow a maximum 25-foot tall sign and 96 square feet. So this sign, their proposed detached sign, is well within what is typically allowed in other commercial zoning districts. I'm not sure exactly why the ICW North zoning district restricts a detached sign to such a small sign, but it does. So with that, considering the large size of the development and the future development potential of this site, we do support the request to allow a larger detached sign and directional signs than allowed by the zoning ordinance. Temporary sign, again, they request 95 square foot sign within the right of way of State Highway 59 and the intersection of West First Street. They are asking to have that sign for 365 days while phase one of the project is under construction. The zoning ordinance does contain regulations for temporary signs, and it indicates that request for posting a temporary sign more than 14 days or temporary signs placed in a public right-of-way can only be approved by the city council. So that's why this request is also before the city council. We did compare their proposed temporary sign to the existing city wayfinding signage along Highway 59. The standard size for our wayfinding signage is about 60 square feet. So we do recommend that 95 square foot temporary sign be reduced to a maximum of 60 square feet. So it's similar in size to our existing wayfinding signage. So with that, staff recommends approval of the master signage plan with 2 conditions. The first condition, a permit from AlDOT for the temporary sign at the intersection of State Highway 59 and West First Street shall be provided at the time of sign permit application. And the second condition, the temporary sign located within the State Highway 59 right-of-way shall remain in place for a maximum of 365 days and shall be a maximum of 60 square feet. With that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Andy, good job. That's a lot. Thank you very much. Council, any questions or comments?
Couple of questions. So does this master plan take into the consideration the future yacht club, which I believe will be the next phase of this development? Or will they come back and modify to put signage on that building?
This master plan, I'm not sure that it does take into consideration of the future yacht club because they didn't provide any signage for that, so they would have to come back and modify the master signage plan.
We think they're gonna need some at that phase. The other question I had is the digital reader board. What does our ordinance allow currently for the size of the electronic reader board on a single lot business?
40% of the size of the overall sign. So let's see.
Does that fall within that guideline on this one? Looks like 150 times 4, 60. Looks like 60 square feet would be allowed.
Let me see if I can do my math real quick. I'm coming up with 34 square feet is allowed, and they're proposing 32 square feet.
Okay, thank you.
The temporary sign on 59, that's just like our wayfinding signs,
If we can go back to it, well, it's not exactly,
similar to it.
it would have their, if you look at below the dimensions, they have a oval sign there.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they're proposing, is an oval sign that reads Legendary Marina and Yacht Club, Gulf Shores, Alabama.
Right here. The legendary marine.
Yes, sir.
Emblem.
Yes, sir.
That'd be what it looks
That's what
like.
they're proposing. Yes, sir.
Not lit or anything.
We did not propose it for it to be lit.
Any other, council, any other questions? Audience, anybody?
Andy, you said you wanted them to reduce the oval sign to 60 square feet?
Yes, sir.
Okay, they had up there 10 by 12. Is that counting? In other words, 10 by 12 will be square, but. is
Yeah.
the o-
So their request was, 95 square feet? And I'm assuming because it's an oval, it's probably, that's what, yeah. 10 times 12 is 120.
Yeah,
but,
120, so
I
they're
didn't-
saying it's
I didn't calculate it
95,
out, but it's
cutting the
probably
corners
95
out.
square feet. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Anybody? Anything? Thank you, Andy. Deputy Dan.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm glad we waited till today to present the spring break alcohol ban, because if I'd have done this 2 weeks ago, you'd have called me a liar that I was going to come and talk to you about spring break with what we had bearing down on Gulf Shores 2 weeks ago today. So I'm going to talk again about the spring break alcohol ban, which has been put in effect for the last several years. The dates this year will be March 1st through April 28th, which covers the entire spring break season. And I'll tell you, this ordinance has been tremendously helpful for us at the police department to address some of the issues we have at spring break. It's not all encompassing, because as you know, we do have some other issues at spring break. And I can tell you, we're already working on a plan to curtail a lot of those activities with the way we're going to adjust our patrols during spring break. So, but this is primarily for the alcohol ban on spring break, March 1st through April 28th. Be glad to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Dan. Council? You'd have had to be here in 2016 when Panama City closed down for spring breakers to have seen the impact on us before the alcohol ban. We went through 1 week without it, and by the next Saturday, we had an emergency session and put it in place starting the next Saturday. So that when the group that was here the first week left, the next week group coming in was in the middle of it. It made a huge difference. So I can't imagine not doing this. So thank you, Deb.
Thank you.
Anybody with any questions or comments? Amy?
Good afternoon. This is a recommendation to award our Public Works janitorial bid to Imperial Dade in an amount not to exceed $60,000, which has been budgeted in our 2025 custodial supplies line. Imperial Dade was the only conforming bidder. They were the only vendor that was able to supply everything that we asked for, and they came in at $49,072. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Amy. Questions, comments, anybody? Well done. Thank you. Grant, you close out the meeting.
Thank you, Mayor. And actually, the first public assembly permit application to discuss with you is intended to help maybe reduce the number of permit applications that are brought individually to this body for approval. Bridget Reynolds is in the audience too, and her event division put on a number of annual events, and annual events that we have seen time and time over the years. And so we thought we would bring to you one request for city-owned and run events that are repetitive through the years, so that we can put these on our calendar and start working with the different vendors that we start doing business with and start the marketing and advertising for each of these. So what we have before you today is a list of our annual events, which start here in February with music at Meyer Park for a number of dates. And then we move into our May events, which is our Alabama High School Athletic Association's annual state track and field championship, our regional softball championship, the S'mores on the Shores event, our Sand Song and Cinema, Make Music Day, which is on the summer solstice day, another Sand Song and Cinema event, S'mores on the Shores, our Sunset Series, which are the Thursdays in September down in the town green, which have been a really successful opportunity for our residents to get back down to the beach and enjoy some quality entertainment, and then our community Christmas event, which we kind of round the year out with. And so these events have all been pre-planned. Their applications have been routed to our Public Assembly Permit Application Committee. They have been approved by all the different departments that weigh in on what the city's Public Assembly Permit events take place. And so what we're requesting is that as a blanket for city-owned and run events that are produced by our internal staff, that we get these permits in advance in one fatal swoop, if you will, and that way we won't have to bring back each individual event to you at a later date. So be glad to work with you and answer some questions if you have any. And Bridget's in the audience if you've got some questions for her. But you've seen all these events in the past, and these are just continuation of those same events.
Thank you, Grant. Council, questions, comments? Anybody? Well done. Good job, Bridget.
So, yeah, I would like to thank Bridget and her staff. They do an awful lot of work. It made it sound very easy to come up here and just say what I said, but all the hard work has already been done for these events throughout this 2025 season. So now we just hope for good weather and good attendance by our residents and people that participate. So thank you, Terrence. Next, I'll take it from here. So the next is an individual public assembly permit application for an event, a volleyball tournament at the beach. Badger Beach Bash is the requested event, take place on February 28th through March the 1st. This is an application that comes to us from Spring Hill College. They've hosted this event for a number of years in the past. It's a very small event, 6 schools with 4 different states involved, about 225 attendees. Before you on the screen is a site map layout. You'll notice that we're back on the West Gulf Place beach area. The 6 net systems that are in place day in and day out at the beach will be utilized for this event. They do anticipate having potential food vendors, and they'll provide an athletic trainer and the oversight for this event. This application has been reviewed by the Public Assembly Permit Event Committee and has been approved, and we're recommending approval by Mayor and Council for this public assembly permit.
Thank you, Grant. Questions, anybody? Next.
Okay. So another beach volleyball request, you're going to hear that 2 or 3 times today. Just so the mayor and council and the people either viewing at home or in the audience understand, we have a master calendar that we keep within our department so that we are very careful and understanding of the amount of activity that happens at the beach and at Gulf Place. And particularly when it comes to these volleyball tournaments, we're careful not to try to overload, particularly the parking and general beach access. And so what we feel like with these type of smallish volleyball tournaments, it's really creating content and an opportunity for people to enjoy the beach, but in no way takes away from the beach goers experience. There's plenty of beach at Gulf Place, and these events don't overwhelm the infrastructure. So this particular assembly permit, oh, sorry, wrong one. So that was the Badger Beach Bash volleyball tournament. Hold what I just said while we go to the next public assembly permit, which is a parade application.
We were scrambling up here.
I'm sorry, I apologize. I forgot that we had that one more slide in there. So our 46th annual Mardi Gras parade is coming up. Fat Tuesday is March the 4th. And once again, we are bringing to you the Mardi Gras parade permit application, 10 a.m. parade. This year, our Grand Marshal, if you haven't heard the good news, is Brent Burns. Lucy Buffett was last year's Grand Marshal, and this year Lucy turned the scepter over to Brent, who is a local musician, artist, and the proclaimed ambassador of music for Gulf Shores. And so we're excited to have Brent as part of our Mardi Gras parade. The parade route will be the same this year exactly as it was in 2024. The staging area, if you look to the lower left of the map, you'll see where the staging takes place, really along Beach Highway. The parade participants enter into Gulf Place parking lot where they go through the inspection by our fire marshal. And we check to make sure that they're not too tall to go under the traffic lights, make sure they have the appropriate walkers for safety. We distribute a safety walker vest with each of the walkers that walk with these paraders. And then the start is at the corner of Highway 59 and 182. They parade east all the way to Gulf State Park, where they turn into the Gulf State Park Pavilion parking lot. We have worked with Gulf State Park again this year and have an understanding to use their parking lot for the terminus of this parade. It's a safe transition off of the highway. It gets the floats out of the traffic into the parking lot, allowing the people that are watching the parade to make their way back to their vehicles and start making their way either to Orange Beach for the afternoon parade or back up north for lunch. This year we have had already a couple of meetings with our police department, fire department, our public works department, and the events group because of safety. We have done an excellent job over the years of having barricades run the entire length to separate the patrons from the parade to keep safety as top of mind. This year, we're speaking of ways to help keep the spectators safe. You know, this is a strange new world we're living in, if you remember what happened in New Orleans and other places, and so we're working on ways to shore up and strengthen the areas that would affect our beach or our parade viewers, if you will. So more to come on that, but we're getting really good help to be able to do what we can to ensure the safety of not just the people in the parade, but also of the people watching the parade. So with that, we've got all of our Assembly Permit Committee approved this application, and it is ready for your consideration next week with a recommendation to approve the parade for 2025.
Thank you, Grant. Council, any questions on this parade? Anybody in the audience, any questions or comments? Okay, Grant?
Okay,
Now let's get
back to beach volleyball. So this particular assembly permit for the Gulf Shores Open College Beach Volleyball Tournament, most people understand, and if you don't, like to give everybody a quick update. Coach Sean Weaver with the Pleasure Islands Volleyball Club and Pleasure Island Sports and Alabama Gulf Coast Sports Center, which is the new facility that Sean is constructing up at the Gulf Shore Sportsplex. So the anticipated opening date for his facility that includes outdoor volleyball courts at the Sportsplex was to have been already open in time for this event. It is not. It will not be. They have had some construction delays, and it will probably be a couple more months before that facility can accept participants and tournaments and other activities that he has signed. And so he contacted the city with a request to host this small event March 8th and 9th on our public beach at the West Gulf Place area. Another quick diagram, the same location as the Badger Beach Bash that you just all heard about. One a little bit different with this is Coach Philip Bryant also has a very small volleyball tournament that same weekend. And so Coach Bryant and Coach Weaver are working together to make sure that there's volleyball and plenty of room for both of these activities to take place in conjunction with each other. Again, these are small, very low impact type of events. He just did not have the 7 courts at his location in which to be able to accommodate their tournament that they've already been planning. Once again, our committee's reviewed this and we're recommending approval for this volleyball weekend.
Thank you, Grant. Anybody with any questions or comments?
All right, let's go into summertime. So the public assembly permit application for our July 4th fireworks, once again taking place on 4th of July, which is a Friday this year, Gulf State Park Pier. The fireworks show would begin at 9 p.m. The location is Gulf State Park Pier, and once again, the anticipated location on the pier to discharge the fireworks is from a midpoint, not all the way out at the far end. And I mentioned this at our staff meeting this morning. Being able to have the location that is midway down the pier gives a better opportunity for the audience for viewing because it's a little bit closer to the audience, and it does not require the larger ordinances to be shot. So typically, to have a viewing area from the end of the pier, which is 1,500 feet offshore, we would have to get up to 8-inch and 10-inch pyrotechnic shells, which are one, very, very expensive, and two, very, very disruptive to the pier. So the location that we've used the last number of years, because the pier had been in disrepair and working on getting repaired, has worked well for us. We use 4-inch shells and 6-inch shells, which has been a good show. And we've had good success. It's a very safe location to do this. It also doesn't require us to have as much downtime when it comes time for actually setting up for the show. So the schedule of the timeline would be on the 3rd of July. The company Pyro Shows, who we contract to shoot the show, would arrive at the pier. They offload the non-explosive equipment and materials and put it out on the pier. And then July 4th at 8 a.m., the pier will have to close to the public until noon. At noon, the pier will reopen to the general public to a point about 100 feet north of the fireworks launch site. The fire marshal will then close the pier at 8:30, and the fireworks show would begin at 9 p.m. And then overnight, we would clean it up, and the pier would be back open at 6 a.m. The mayor asked the question about who makes the final decision on whether or not to shoot the fireworks based on weather and other factors, but primarily weather, and that's our fire marshal. The fire marshal's on site. We do a test fire, and if there's too much wind, or if it's in the wrong direction, or if there's any potential safety issues, we would not shoot that evening, and that would be determined at the time of the shoot. As you can imagine with this, we have to make sure that the appropriate insurance is in place, not only protect the state park pier and the state park, but also the city and any other people. So we've worked through all the insurance requirements and have certificates in hand. We have a memorandum of understanding in place between Department of Conservation and Natural Resources and the City of Gulf Shores to allow us to use the pier. And this request not only allows us to shoot the show, but enter into a contract with Pyro Shows for the budgeted amount of $37,500, $37,595, which does include the additional insurance policy to cover the pier. And so with that, I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you, Grant. Council, any questions, comments? Anything different? I mean, I know last year last several years, we worked really hard to make sure these explosives were placed in a position on the pier where it didn't damage the pier. And in moving back to the middle from the end and using smaller shells, I would suggest that maybe that won't be as big of an issue. Is that part of the?
It could be as big of an issue, but we take a lot of care in making sure that they're placed over the tops of the concrete piles to make sure that wouldn't and doesn't happen. And
So
yes, sir.
that area wasn't constructed any differently than the area at the end that we've been using. They've got the similar type of support.
Yes, sir. And the year that we blew a hole in the pier, so what happened was, I think the first year we used the pier, we placed the ordnances in the sandboxes, which is what stabilizes the tube to be able to shoot the fireworks. And that's how they also angle the trajectory to make sure that it's, as it falls, it doesn't fall onto shore. But those boxes were not placed over the top of the concrete piles. And so when there's a force that goes up, an equal opposite force goes down, and it went down, and we ended up with an 8-foot hole in the pier. And it was covered under the Pyro Show's insurance, and the wood was replaced, and that was probably about 9 years ago. And since then, we've done it smartly since then.
Yeah. My main question was, this portion of the pier built the same way, we got the same ports, and you just answered yes. Right?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, long
That's
answer.
where I was going. So, any other questions or comments from anybody? And the MOU goes along with the application.
Yes, sir.
Do you have no action on the MOU, that was part of it?
The action will be part of the
Okay.
request and the resolution for the next part of the meeting. Yes, sir.
That ends all of the items on the agenda for this portion of the meeting, and we normally ask for your question, any comments you have on approach the council about. Let's hold off. We got one more item that we need to attend to. We will do that if you'll just be patient with it. We've got one really situation we need to go in, adjourn this meeting. Is there a motion we adjourn the committee of the whole?
So moved.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? This motion, that meeting is adjourned. I now will call the meeting to order for the City of Gulf Shores Special Council meeting. Toby, you call roll, please.
Yes, sir. Mr. Garris.
Aye.
Mr. Sinek.
Aye.
Mr. Harris.
Aye.
Dr. Dyken.
Aye.
Mr. Jones.
Aye.
Mayor Kraft.
Aye. Brent, you want to lead us through what is happening here?
I'd be glad to. Yes, sir. Thank you. Most people in Gulf Shores know that in 2016, we hosted the inaugural NCAA National Beach Volleyball Championship along with our partners at Gulf Shores and Orange Beach Tourism, and very successfully did so for a number of years. In 2022, we submitted a bid for the years 2023, 2024, 2025, and 2026. So those 4 years to continue to host the event. The NCAA split that bid into two-year cycles. The City of Gulf Shores and Gulf Shores Orange Beach Tourism was awarded 23 and 2024, which we successfully hosted last year. 2025 and 2026 were to go to Huntington Beach, California. So unfortunately, with what's happened in California, through the wildfires and the recovery efforts and the problems that California is seeing related to that, we received a request from the NCAA to see if we would be willing and able to host the 2025 National Championship back here in Gulf Shores. And after discussion with our partners and the gentleman that helps us actually build the site and put together the tournament, and consulting with the mayor, we felt like yes was the answer, that we could do that. And so what we are asking from the mayor and council this evening is the passing of a resolution authorizing the City of Gulf Shores, along with our partners, Gulf Shores Orange Beach Tourism, to host the 2025 NCAA National Collegiate Beach Volleyball Championship on May 2nd through May 4th of 2025. We typically budget $190,000 each of the year. It's a joint agreement between us and tourism. Revenues that are produced from the event do stay with the event to offset some of the expenses, but the expenses the city has incurred in the past years has been right at that $190,000 or a little less over the past few years. So not knowing exactly what it's going to take, because we have lost a lot of time to be able to pre-contract tents and scaffolding and bleachers, and our ability to partner with the Hang Out Music Festival, which is now Sand in My Boots event. We're not exactly sure what the financial situation is going to look like. But we are requesting that up to $190,000 be added to the 2025 budget as an amendment, because it was not included, because we were not planning on having this event, to be able to move forward and have this event here in Gulf Shores. So that's our request.
Thank you, Grant. Our partner is Gulf Shores Orange Beach Tourism, and Michelle Russ is here that runs that for them. You got any comments to add or anything?
I just want to say that it.
I didn't want to fuss at you, but I was going to have to.
I'll fuss at her.
I'm usually pretty loud, so I don't have to go to a microphone. Those that know me know this about me. I just want to say that it really speaks volumes to our city, our staff, and our beautiful beaches for NCAA to call with about 90 to 95 days before our championship to ask if we could do it. And we all agreed that the answer was yes. It really speaks volumes to this city and what we all do together to make these things happen. So we should all be very proud of our community and our beaches.
Thank you, Michelle.
And just recently, we were awarded 2027 all the way through 2031. So irregardless of the 2025 or 2026 two-year hiatus out to California, the event was planning on returning in 2027 for a 5-year period. So, I feel like NCAA and Gulf Shores, the relationship there, our hope to be the long-term partner with NCAA to continue to host this event has shown through, and they've heard that, I think, loud and clear. So.
Thank you, Grant. That's resolution 6928. Before we vote, anybody, typically with what we like to do is, you have any questions or comments before we take action on this?
I have a question.
Yes.
Being chairman of the finance committee, I have to ask this question. I mean, I'm all in favor of this and happy to have it back and provide the opportunity to have the NCAA volleyball tournament here again. And of course, the 4-year commitment they have in the future. I would hope that we can negotiate a long-term permanent host for this event, particularly with our willingness to, on such short notice, kind of help this situation out. The hard question I have is putting $190,000 into this, expecting the previous pricing we've had, being able to plan way in advance. And I heard you say that that may not be possible and it may require more funds than that. So is the city on the hook for funds beyond the 190,000, or is that another partner is going to come to the table to supply that, or how are we going to accomplish that? Because I hate to just commit $190,000 and then potentially have a higher expense because of the time frame, and getting all these logistical support in such short notice usually costs a little more, a premium. So I'm just, want to know what we're signing up for, or how we're going to accomplish if it goes beyond the 190,000.
So it's a great question, and we had that discussion as well. And with our partners at Gulf Shores Orange Beach Tourism, we can cap our expenses at $190,000 for the city. Any overages over that, we'll have to work with our tourism partners, but we feel very confident that we can cap it for the city's expense exposure at the $190,000.
Okay, great, thank you.
And the CVB passed a resolution of support for this at the last meeting, and funding was included. So I think we are, good question, but I think we are covered the best we can.
Great, thank you. I'm
And-
excited to have them here.
No, and actually, good case in point, last year, 2024, expenses were slightly above of a 50-50 split that the Gulf Shores, Orange Beach Tourism, and the city of Gulf Shores, who have historically divided the expenses in half. And the city was not asked for any additional funds. The additional funds were paid completely out of Gulf Shores, Orange Beach Tourism. And so that would be the same in this case as well.
All right, great, thank you.
It's resolution 6928.
Move to the adoption of the resolution. Go ahead.
6928.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to adopt this resolution as presented. Any discussion or comment? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 6928 is approved and adopted. And the part of me that is glad it's coming back, but the other part of me realizes why. And those folks out there, it was a terrible tragedy out there. And but as glad as I am to have them back, I didn't want it that way. So we'll keep them in our hearts and prayers, and we will do our best to provide a good tournament for everybody to enjoy. So, given that, was there anyone that had anything in their mind they'd like to ask or discuss with the council beyond anything we've talked?
Motion adjourned.
Have a motion?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you for being here, folks. Appreciate your comments and staying with us.